My father had already told me a lot about my grandfather. But one night, while I was still in Germany, he told me something different. Something I keep turning over in my mind. Not just because of what he said, but because of when it happened. My father showed me something. An old prayer book. Worn, fragile, dated.
1859.
It once belonged to my grandfather. And somehow, looking at it, I felt like this is where the story really begins.
Ich war damals 20 oder so, und da hatte der Opa mich gebeten, dieses Buch eben halt mitzunehmen, und ich sollte ihn nach Kevelaer fahren.
A small town in the Lower Rhine, near the Dutch border. For over 350 years, people have been making their way here from across Europe, all converging on the same cobblestone streets year after year, for reasons that go far beyond a simple visit. One of the most visited pilgrimage sites in all of northwestern Europe. And standing there, you feel it, the weight of all those footsteps before yours. In the timeline of the story, it falls eerily close to something my aunt remembers. And I can't stop wondering, are these two memories connected?
Da war irgendein Treffen. Ich kann dir nicht sagen, was das für ein Treffen war. Es war dem Opa aber sehr, sehr wichtig, dass dieses Buch eben halt auch mit dort nach Kevelaer kam. Und ich hatte auch auf der Fahrt dahin, hatte ich so ein bisschen das Gefühl, dass der Opa also irgendwie traurig war.
My father back then, it was just an old book. He didn't ask questions. He simply drove. The drive was quiet. My grandfather sat with the book in his lap and barely spoke. Not cold, just somewhere else. Like a man carrying something my father wasn't meant to understand yet.
Einen Anzug an, ich weiß jetzt nicht, ob es ein schwarzer, wahrscheinlich war es ein schwarzer Anzug, ne? Als ob ich in so einer Art Beerdigung oder so fahren müsste.
My father dropped my grandfather off near the candle chapel, the Kerzenkapelle, a darker space. A church filled with the flickering light of hundreds of candles, each one left by pilgrim groups across the centuries. Their coats of arms displayed on the walls. Candles from their region, from Italy, from Austria, from France. My grandfather walked inside, and my father waited. Then came a moment, a short gesture, a quiet signal. You should leave now. So he drove away. My grandfather stayed behind, among people speaking in different languages, and later, somehow, made his way home, with help, from people he apparently knew. But who those people were, my father never found out. What he did know was this. After that day, something changed. From that point on, my grandparents traveled to Kevelaer every single year. It became a tradition, and eventually, I went too, almost every year. As a child, not understanding what I was part of. There's something else. Last year, in New York, I received an old escape document. Written on it in faded ink, Gott befohlen, or God be with you, Andre. We believe those words were written by my grandfather. I actually found out more about that at the City Archive in Germany. I had found a document from 1835 there, and I specifically asked an archivist about that phrase. He told me that God be with you is a very old farewell, not just outdated, but deeply rooted in Christian tradition, and interestingly, more commonly used in Protestant contexts. And that's where it gets interesting, because my grandfather came from a region that is strongly Protestant. The prayer book he carried, also Protestant, from Altenburg, which could mean that my grandfather carried this influence long before the war, that there were church communities he was already part of. That could also explain why the escape document was signed that way, and why there's such a strong religious thread running through all of this. History is full of quiet people who helped others simply because it was the right thing to do. Often, the church was where they found each other. When I asked my father about it, he said, the church is not a single unified entity. It's made up of people. And among them, there have always been many good people. People who help, who protect, who act quietly in the shadows. Especially when trust was the only currency that mattered. My father and I went back to Kevelaer. We wanted to walk the same streets, stand in the candle chapel, and look at the crests on the walls. Try to understand who my grandfather really was and what influenced him. Some stories don't end with the people who lived them. My grandfather might be gone, but the story he left behind is still unfolding.